As of January 2025, there are more than 8,000 registered programming languages out there. Yes, you heard that right. 8,000. Can you guess the most popular language from this list? Python? Nope. Java? Think again. According to a survey conducted by Statista in 2024, JavaScript tops the list with over 62% developers using it worldwide. The reason? JavaScript is crucial for web development. In this video, I will walk you through a roadmap, a step-by-step guide for becoming a web developer in 2025. Let's get started. Hi, I am Aquib and you're already watching Code with Aquib, where I share content on programming and web development. We talk about best practices, useful tools and extensions, and build some projects. With over 8 years of experience developing apps and websites and over 6 years of teaching web development, I am here to help you kickstart your web development journey. Now, before we get to the languages themselves, it is important to understand what we need to build a website or a web app. Very simply put, a web application consists of three major components: a front end, which is what the user sees and interacts with, a database, which takes care of all the storage, and a backend, which is responsible for all the logic and functionality. A quick disclaimer: even though the terms website and web app mean slightly different things, I'm going to use them interchangeably for this video. Also, I will be using the term web developer as a blanket term for front-end developer, back-end developer, and full-stack developer. So, in order to be able to build web applications, you need to learn all the languages that will enable you to build these three components: front-end, database, and backend. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that makes sense. We have three parts to develop. So, which language can be used here? Well, that is where it gets a little tricky. Unfortunately, we don't have a single get-it-all-done language as such. We do, however, have a few options to pick from. Let's start with the front end. The front end roadmap is pretty straightforward. We have three technologies: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML allows us to add content to the website. This includes all content: shady, clickbait, article links, typing cat gifs, viral ice bucket challenge videos, and everything in between. CSS allows us to style and organize this content while also enabling these components to respond differently based on the device. For example, it can transform a full menu on a laptop screen into a compact hamburger style menu on a mobile phone, a feature we refer to as responsiveness. JavaScript allows us to make the front end more interactive by adding client-side functionality such as form validation and scrolling effects. And it also enables us to detect and trigger events based on user actions such as a button click, etc. So, as far as the front end is concerned, the idea is to start with HTML, then explore CSS, and finally master JavaScript. Now, another tip here would be to not stop at the languages themselves. Basically, we use the term vanilla when we use any language in its most native form. So, vanilla HTML, vanilla CSS, and vanilla JavaScript. This is, however, not recommended. I mean, that's where we start learning, but there's more. We have another term called a framework. A framework, if I were to explain it in one line, basically is a toolkit which allows us to build a specific type of an application in a given language. The go-to framework at this point for front-end development is React.js, which seamlessly integrates HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and allows us to build responsive, scalable, production-grade web applications. By the way, React just got a new version 19, and they released a stable build in late 2024, which means it is now officially available for development use cases. If you do want to go the extra mile, consider exploring Tailwind CSS, which is a CSS-based framework for styling. And if you're really feeling it, look at Next.js, which is a React-based framework and looks very promising for 2025. So that is the front end. We have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as the recommended languages, and React.js as the recommended framework. Next up, let's talk databases. There are two broad categories of databases out there: SQL and NoSQL. The first category consists of the more traditional databases called SQL, which is short for Structured Query Language. There are different versions of SQL from different vendors. For instance, we have Oracle's MySQL, which is the open source community version, and then we have Microsoft's MS SQL, which is an enterprise level database server. Simply put, SQL databases are relational databases where data is stored in the form of tables. They've been around for a very long time and are the go-to choice for applications where structure and security are crucial. PostgreSQL is one of the most popular databases in this category. The second category consists of the newer, more modern databases called NoSQL, which loosely translates to not only SQL. These databases defy the traditional table logic and are less rigid in terms of structure. Most NoSQL databases follow a JSON style structure where data is stored in the form of key value pairs. Again, there are plenty of options to pick from here. We have Apache's Cassandra, which is the free open source community version. Then there is Neo4j, which is a graph database curated specifically for data science. MongoDB, however, is the go-to choice in 2025 for a NoSQL database because it's the most general purpose and hence it fits most use cases. It is also compatible with most backend frameworks, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So when it comes to databases, you can take your pick depending on what you want to build. I would recommend PostgreSQL if you're working in a more traditional relational SQL style setting, such as a banking or a management system, and MongoDB if you're working on a more modern NoSQL project, such as a social media application or a streaming platform. That is everything you need to know to get started with databases. Next up, let's talk backend. Unlike the front end, where we have absolute clarity on what each language tries to accomplish, things are very ambiguous when it comes to the backend. Because the thing is, the backend runs on a server. So, theoretically speaking, any programming language can be used to write the functionality. The role of a backend is pretty simple: accept the user's input in the form of a request, process the data, and send the response back to the user. So, technically speaking, even programming languages like C, C++ can be used to write the backend of a web application. It'll be a pain to write the logic, sure, but it is possible. So, how do we handle this? Well, we have three languages that have become the default for a backend of a web application depending on what you're trying to build. We have Python, Java, and JavaScript. Yes, you heard that right. JavaScript is the only programming language which can be used for both front-end and back-end development. That is why it tops the chart for the most popular programming language used by developers worldwide. However, to be fair, both Python and Java can also be used to build the exact same application that we can build with JavaScript, but then these languages are used in a very different context. Since Python is the industry standard for artificial intelligence and data science, we use Python to build AI-based backend or in places where a lot of analytics need to be done. Java, on the other hand, leads the security department. So in applications where security is paramount, we use a Java-based backend. For all other use cases, we prefer JavaScript. So here's what the backend looks like. If you're building an AI-enabled application, you should be looking at exploring Python along with the relevant libraries such as NumPy or Pandas. On top of that, you might want to explore a Python-based backend framework such as Django or Flask. If you're interested in building something super secure, Java is the way to go. Spring is the framework of choice for a Java-based backend. It works very well when clubbed with tools such as Spring Boot and Hibernate, and it works particularly well with PostgreSQL and other SQL databases. But then, if you're looking for something generic to get started, something that can help you build almost anything, you should be looking at a JavaScript-based backend. There are a couple of reasons why. First, we already know JavaScript from the front end, so we don't have to learn a whole new programming language. Additionally, like I said, we don't lose anything by choosing JavaScript because we can build the exact same functionality using any backend programming language. And finally, the community support for JavaScript-based frameworks is growing rapidly. At this point, we can find extensive documentation and instant replies to our queries when we post them on popular applications or platforms like Stack Overflow, etc. So, my recommended language for backend development for you is JavaScript. There are two frameworks which make a JavaScript-based backend possible: Node.js and Express.js. Node is basically the JavaScript runtime, which allows us to run JavaScript outside of the browser so that it can be used like any other programming language. Express.js is a minimal framework built on top of Node, which provides complex services or features such as handling REST API requests, perform routing, etc. So that is the backend. JavaScript is the recommended language, and Node and Express are the recommended frameworks. I hope this video was helpful and now you have a better clarity on how to go about learning web development in 2025. Since you have watched this video till the end, I want to let you in on a little secret. There has been a lot of chatter going on about artificial intelligence replacing web developers, and I just wanted to share my take on it. The chatter is not entirely incorrect. I mean, there is a lot of interesting and promising research being conducted by companies such as Adobe and Microsoft, where they're writing applications or programs that run artificial intelligence, take the wireframe or the design image as an input, and generate the code for that design as an output. But then, from whatever I have tested so far personally, that code is far from production level, and there are also a lot of security concerns associated with this approach. So I don't see artificial intelligence replacing developers anytime soon. However, to be fair, there are some really interesting AI enabled tools which we should definitely look out for. GitHub's Copilot, for example, which also got a free version by the way, or OpenAI's Canvas are some really promising AI tools which let us generate templates and help us auto-complete the code, find errors in the code, and things like that. We also have some really useful AI-enabled extensions for VS Code and other popular IDEs that let us auto-comment on our codes. They basically let us generate comments automatically to make our code more human readable. So the bonus tip for you here is this: try integrating these tools and extensions into your workflow. These tools and extensions will become a norm in 2025, and the role of an AI will become more assisting developers than replacing them entirely. And that's it. That's how I see web development evolving in 2025. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to the channel for more content on programming and web development. Do like the video and share it with your friends so that they can kickstart their development journeys as well. If you have any questions on what we discussed, drop them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Additionally, if there is a specific topic you want me to cover in depth, do let me know in the comments as well and I'll try to create a video on it. Thank you so much for stopping by. See you in the next one. Until then, happy coding.